Hey everyone, before I start, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what I'm about to tell you isn't something you want to miss. My name is Mark Reynolds. I'm 34, ex-military, and I've spent the last 5 years exploring areas with strange aerial phenomena across the Nevada desert. Most people think I'm crazy, but what happened to me is real, and it's going to change everything you think you know about the world. It all started last September, near the restricted boundaries of Area 51. I'd been tracking unusual lights on my radar for weeks, and on that night, I saw something that didn't make any sense. It was a silent, metallic disc hovering low, pulsating with a blue-white glow that seemed almost alive. I tried to record it with my drone, but as soon as I launched it, the light shot straight at me. I could feel the air pressure change, like standing next to a hurricane, and then nothing. I woke up hours later, lying on my side in the sand, my equipment scattered, and a strange humming ringing in my ears. My first thought was that it had been a hallucination, maybe exhaustion or dehydration playing tricks on me. But when I looked around, the tracks in the sand weren't mine alone. There were these deep circular imprints, almost like landing pads, perfectly formed, leading toward the horizon, and they didn't fade away. I tried to shake it off and convince myself it was a prank, a government exercise, but deep down, I knew something had taken me. Over the next few days, strange things started happening. My dreams were invaded by sequences I couldn't explain. Labyrinthine corridors with bright lights, figures observing me through translucent walls, whispers I couldn't quite understand. My equipment recorded strange EMF spikes, and my phone kept losing signal in certain parts of the house, almost as if I was still being watched. Then I noticed the first physical changes. Small, almost imperceptible scars along my arms, and a faint pattern of geometric lines under my skin, like a tattoo that wasn't there before. I tried to ignore it, but it spread quickly, moving up my chest and neck, glowing faintly under UV light. I didn't tell anyone, couldn't. People would think I was losing my mind. But the thing that really made me realize I couldn't handle it alone happened last week. I went back to the desert, to the exact spot I'd first encountered the craft. I was hoping to find some evidence, some explanation. The area looked untouched, almost sterilized, but then I saw it. A faint shimmer in the air, like heat waves but colder, denser, moving against the wind. And that's when I heard it. The low, resonating hum, the same one that had filled my ears the night I disappeared. I froze. The shimmer condensed into a form, and before I could move, a beam of light shot down, lifting me off the ground. I could feel my body being scanned, analyzed. Panic set in, but it wasn't fear as much as confusion. I felt strangely aware, like the craft was probing my thoughts, my memories, mapping out every corner of my mind. I don't know how long I was in there. Time didn't exist in the way it does here. When I returned to the desert floor, everything felt different. The world seemed thinner, like I could almost see through the air, through the fabric of reality. My instincts told me I was no longer just a man walking through Nevada. I was something else, or at least connected to something else. The craft, if it wanted, could take me back at any time. And I had a message embedded in my mind, images of other worlds, other humans or beings, being monitored, examined, cataloged. That's why I'm telling you this now. I don't know how long I'll have control over my own thoughts before it calls me back. I don't know if anyone will believe me, but if you're watching this, if you're curious, don't go near the restricted zones because they are real and they are waiting. And they're patient. The days after that night in the desert were unbearable. I kept seeing the shimmer at the edges of my vision, in reflective surfaces, in the corner of a dark room. At first, I thought it was paranoia, but then things started moving when I wasn't looking directly at them. Objects shifted positions. Doors I left open were closed when I returned. My phone would turn on by itself, displaying cryptic symbols I didn't understand, patterns that seemed to rearrange themselves every time I looked away. And then came the dreams. No, not dreams, more like memories that weren't mine. I saw alien landscapes, enormous structures floating above the clouds, creatures with elongated limbs and translucent skin, performing experiments with devices I couldn't even begin to describe. One night, I woke up on the floor of my apartment, soaked in sweat, a strange metallic taste in my mouth. My reflection in the mirror was wrong. The eyes were too large, too reflective, and I could swear the pupils flickered with color that wasn't natural. I touched my face, and it felt normal, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being rewritten. I decided I couldn't stay put. I drove back toward the Nevada desert, closer to the border of Area 51, hoping that maybe distance would help me understand, or maybe I could find some proof. I didn't. As soon as I crossed a certain line, the same hum returned. This time, it was louder, almost violent, and I felt it resonate inside my chest. The air shimmered, and before I could slam the brakes, a light enveloped the car. I tried to move, to resist, but my body wasn't mine anymore. I wasn't fully conscious, yet I was aware of every sensation. When I opened my eyes, I was inside the craft. It was huge, impossibly wide, with walls that seemed fluid, glowing softly with colors I didn't have names for. Figures moved in the periphery, not walking but gliding, observing me through instruments that extended like tendrils. I couldn't speak. I couldn't even scream. Thoughts poured into me. Images, words, concepts, but in no human language. They showed me Earth from above, the deserts, the oceans, the cities, everything cataloged and analyzed. Then came the experiments. I don't remember all of them because my mind blanked parts out, but I do remember the sensation of being scanned, probed, measured on a molecular level. And then the memory implant, the knowledge they placed inside me. I saw a glimpse of their purpose. They were cataloging species, understanding behaviors, testing limits, observing fear and curiosity. I understood then that this wasn't random. They weren't just curious about humans, they were methodical, patient, and infinitely persistent. Somehow, I retained my sense of self enough to observe, enough to remember. They left me partially aware, partially integrated with something foreign. Hours, days, or perhaps minutes passed. I couldn't tell, but eventually, I was back in the desert. My car was still where I left it, my hands on the wheel, my heart hammering, but something inside me had changed. I wasn't just a man who'd seen a UFO. I was a man who carried it inside him. And now, every time I close my eyes, I see them. Every time I hear a humming sound, I feel it pull at me. I can't escape it. And I know, with an unshakable certainty, that one day, they'll come back for me, and next time, I won't be coming back alone. Since that night, life hasn't been normal, if it can even be called life. Every time I step outside, I feel their presence in the shadows, in the wind, even in the static of electronic devices. Friends and colleagues have started noticing changes in me. The way I stare at empty spaces, the way I flinch at sudden lights, the way I sometimes speak in words I don't remember thinking. I try to keep it together, but reality itself has become fluid. I started documenting everything, the patterns, the symbols, the dreams that aren't mine. I drive to remote areas, hoping to see the shimmer again, to understand what they want. And sometimes I do. I see the outline of a craft in the sky, silent, massive, pulsating with a light that feels almost alive. And every time, the hum starts, low and insistent, vibrating through my chest like a warning. One evening, I returned to the desert with a small camera, determined to capture proof. The sun was setting, casting long shadows over the sand, when I saw a figure standing at the edge of the horizon. Tall, impossibly thin, glowing faintly. I froze. The figure didn't move toward me. It just watched. Then the shimmer appeared, faster this time, enveloping the figure, and the air rippled. The hum began softly, then grew into a roar inside my skull. My legs gave way and I fell into the sand. I thought I would black out, but I didn't. Instead, I was lifted again, and the world blurred into white. Inside the craft, things were different. The corridors were longer, darker, filled with equipment that seemed alive, pulsing, and the figures, they weren't exactly beings anymore. They shifted, elongated, sometimes vanishing entirely, only to appear somewhere else. And then came the tests. Not physical this time, but mental. My memories, my thoughts, my fears. They were dissected, folded, rearranged. I experienced myself from multiple perspectives at once, seeing every choice I'd ever made, every consequence, all layered on top of each other. And amidst that chaos, I realized they weren't just observing, they were teaching, implanting knowledge, showing me patterns of the universe I wasn't meant to understand. I glimpsed secrets about human history, about other civilizations, about technologies far beyond anything we've ever built. It was intoxicating and terrifying. When I returned to Earth again, it was night, the desert silent except for the whisper of the wind. I looked at my hands, and they trembled, not from fear, but from understanding. My mind had changed. I wasn't the same Mark Reynolds anymore. I felt connected, part of something vast. And yet, the humans around me still moved blindly, unaware. I realized then why they had taken me. Not to harm, not to scare, but to prepare. To prepare me for something I didn't yet understand. Something inevitable. Over the next weeks, I started seeing signs everywhere. Patterns in clouds, strange constellations that weren't supposed to be there, animals reacting to things I couldn't perceive. And always, the hum, faint but constant, reminding me that I wasn't alone and never would be. I tried to warn people, to document, to prove what happened, but everything is met with skepticism. Yet deep inside, I know the truth. What happened to me is happening to others, and those who see it, they will be chosen just like me. The shimmer, the craft, the hum. It's patient, eternal, and unstoppable. And the more I resist, the more it pulls at me. Sometimes, in the dead of night, I feel it again, just at the edge of consciousness, beckoning. And I know I won't be able to ignore it forever. I knew it was coming. The pull had grown stronger each day, a constant thrum beneath my skin, whispering in a language that bypassed my ears entirely. I tried to hide, to outrun it, but the desert, their domain, called me. Last night, I drove to the spot where it all began, heart hammering, hands white on the wheel. The horizon shimmered, as if the air itself had melted. And then I saw it. The craft, larger than I remembered, hovering silently, light pulsing in rhythm with the hum that had haunted me for weeks. I didn't hesitate. I stepped out of the car, feeling the hum swallow me whole, lifting me off the ground before I even realized I'd moved. Inside, the craft was alive. Walls pulsed like veins, corridors stretched impossibly, and the figures, no longer just observers, were intricate, weaving between shadows and light, shifting form like smoke. I felt them probing, yes, but differently now, not scanning me but communicating. A flood of images hit me. Other humans, other lands, patterns, histories, warnings, instructions. And then I understood. They weren't here to destroy or to experiment in the cruel sense. They were architects of evolution of consciousness. They were trying to elevate, to connect. I felt a choice offered to me, not in words, but as a raw, undeniable reality. I could return to my old life, fractured and haunted, or I could accept the connection, become part of something far greater, something that would alter my very perception of time and space. Fear clawed at me, but beneath it was a deeper understanding. I saw myself not just as Mark Reynolds, ex-military, explorer, observer, but as a node in a vast network, a bridge between human comprehension and the reality beyond. I hesitated, and in that instant, the craft pulsed, almost impatiently, as if time itself bent around my indecision. The figures closed in, shapes intertwining, merging with the walls and light, and I felt their attention as a tangible force. And then I let go. The world dissolved, not violently, but with the weightless inevitability of falling into water. I felt my consciousness stretch, split, merge with the patterns I had glimpsed only fragments of before. Time folded, and I understood cycles, histories, choices, not just of Earth but of worlds and civilizations I had no names for. When I returned, I was back in the desert, but different. I could see the shimmer still lingering, faint, like a pulse in the air. My hands no longer felt mine entirely. My thoughts carried layers of understanding I couldn't explain, images of other places, other beings, patterns that weren't meant for human minds. And yet, I retained enough to remember, to tell. I walked back to my car, leaving footprints in the sand that glowed faintly before fading. The desert was silent, but I knew the craft was still there, waiting, patient as ever. I returned to my apartment, but the world felt smaller, thinner, like I was looking through a veil. And I knew it wasn't over. I would never be alone. The hum would never leave me. And when it came back, because I know it will, I would go willingly or unwillingly and see the things humans aren't ready to see. I have a warning for anyone listening. The skies hold more than stars. And some things aren't here to visit. They're here to choose. They are patient. They are inevitable. And one day they will come for you.